Who doesn't love spinach? I love it, but it has some drawbacks. It shoots as soon as the weather warms up and practically after harvest. How about something like spinach with large, umbrella-shaped leaves that grows back indefinitely when cut, doesn't shoot, and grows all season long from spring to the first frost? Sounds great, right? Plus, it's easy to grow in the ground and thrives in Polish conditions. A dream vegetable. This leafy companion is a truly rewarding vegetable, and I'd be surprised if you don't already have it in your vegetable garden. It's highly likely to become your go-to vegetable because it's so forgiving. It's the easiest superfood to grow. It has huge leaves, and even its impressive petiole is incredibly crisp, stringless, and doesn't become stringy once it reaches a large size. What's more, it's a self-regenerating plant, meaning you cut the leaves and they grow back endlessly, just like your lawn. You'll rarely, if ever, see it in a store, probably because the leaves would wilt quickly, which probably isn't profitable for supermarkets. That's a shame, because it's incredibly easy to grow and a very valuable vegetable. Furthermore, it's rarely attacked by pests and diseases, so organic farming is highly recommended. The more space you give it and a dose of organic fertilizer, the more impressive it will be. Look at those impressive leaves. You could even wrap cabbage rolls in them instead of cabbage, making a fantastic dish. And the thick petioles can be treated the same way you would asparagus with butter. And probably not many of you know that it can be eaten raw, for example, in salads or blended. What are you waiting for? Plant some chard in your garden. So let me tell you what this gentleman likes to ensure smooth cultivation and a bountiful harvest. Curious? You've come to the right place, because in this video I'll show you how to sow, grow, and enjoy abundant harvests of chard. Not to be confused with beet greens, which are young tubers and leaves of the beet plant, which are quite different. Here's a complete guide to growing chard. Enjoy! Chard, Beta vulgaris var. Sickler, is a leafy vegetable enjoyed by the ancient Babylonians. Native to the Mediterranean basin, it is a biennial plant belonging to the Chenopodiaceae family. Chard, also known as leaf beet, chard, mangold, or spinach beet, was cultivated earlier than beetroot, and in Poland it was known much earlier than in Western Europe, where its cultivation is now more widespread than in our country. It's interesting why. Chard is a leaf beet that doesn't produce an edible storage root, but rather large, edible leaves. What growing location should you choose? It's less demanding and more hardy than beetroot. It's more resistant to low temperatures, which means it can be sown faster and harvested longer. I recommend this vegetable to beginners. It certainly won't disappoint. To grow beetroot, choose a sunny location and fertile, well-drained soil. Both spinach and beetroot love sunny, open locations. Beetroot needs a sunny and well-ventilated location. Grow it in soil that's both moist and fertile. The plants can grow in the same location for many months, so make sure you can afford the space. Don't worry, it's definitely worth it. It's designated as a first-season plant, but it will easily overwinter in the soil and regrow even larger in spring. Remember to regularly remove the flower stalk if it sprouts, then you can safely harvest the leaves, and believe me, you'll have plenty of them. Chard grows best in well-ventilated areas because the wind protects it from aphids and the beetroot fly, as well as from rotting in excessively humid conditions. Chard grows poorly in partial shade, and not at all in shade. Beetroots don't like to grow under trees like most vegetables. Although chard is considered a plant that prefers full sun, if you have a location with very scorching sun in midsummer, it would be better to plant it in partial shade. And actually, this makes sense because it's a cool climate plant, so in hot, dry summers, which can lead to shootout, it will do just fine in the shade. Let's take a closer look at the soil. It grows best in fertile, permeable soil, with high water holding capacity, and well-drained soils with plenty of humus, after fertilization with manure or compost, and a neutral pH. However, average soil will do just fine, with a pH of 6.5 to 7. CHARD is not picky about soil. It only grows poorly in acidic, waterlogged soil, and in dry sand. It prefers soil with a high amount of humus, such as compost. Grown in better locations, in more fertile soils with high water holding capacity, it has a more delicate flavor and is more juicy and crumbly. This means any soil except sandy and heavy clay. It's time for sowing and planting. The weight of 1,000 clusters, that is the seed with more seeds in it, is 12 to 25 grams, which retain their germination capacity for 4 to 6 years. The time from sowing to germination is approximately 14 days and can occur at temperatures ranging from 5 to 30 degrees Celsius. Seeds can be sown directly into the ground in April-May for summer harvesting or in July for autumn harvesting. In the first half of July, chard is sown as a catch crop, for example, after the harvest of onions, broad beans, or peas. Due to its short growing season, chard is an excellent catch crop after early brassicas or cucurbits. It should not be grown after spinach or beetroot. The best pre-crop for chard is potatoes. Beetroot doesn't grow well next to garlic, broad beans, pole beans, carrots, and spinach. It's a good idea to sow herbs alongside beets, especially savory, caraway, and coriander. Their scent deters pests such as the beetroot aphid and beetroot fly. Sowing depth. Large, knobby seeds can be sown individually. Space them about 2.5 to 5 centimeters apart. Cover them with soil, gently tamp them down, and then water along the rows to help the soil settle and prepare the seeds for germination. Sowing locations should be deep. Place the seeds 2 to 4 centimeters deep. If the soil is very dry, water along the rows before sowing to cool and moisten the soil. Spacing. Once seedlings emerge, you'll likely need to thin them out, as each lumpy seed is actually a clump of several seeds, all of which can germinate. A single seed can produce 3 plants, so don't be surprised. Once the plants have emerged, thin them twice. Thin them out in stages until the plants are 30 centimeters apart. After the first spacing, the plants should be about 8 centimeters apart, and after the second spacing, 20 to 30 centimeters apart. Sow beetroot in rows 40 to 50 centimeters apart. In good conditions, it can grow from 40 to 50 centimeters tall, so leave it some space to grow. And during flowering, see how huge it is, even over a meter. Seedlings. At the end of February, you can sow the seeds under cover, and plant the hardened seedlings out in their permanent location after about 6 weeks, in the second half of April. Or, transplant the seedlings at any time into a pot and then transplant them to their permanent location. After removing the previous crop, simply plant vigorous young beetroot at its final spacing, leaving 30 centimeters between plants and 40 centimeters between rows. Planting beetroot in a seedbed can also help prevent slug damage to the young seedlings. Leaf beet seeds are sown directly into the ground. This is how they grow best. And actually, they grow quite quickly, so I'm not sure you really want to bother with seedlings. They germinate in just 5 to 7 days. Then, space the seeds 15 to 20 centimeters apart. It's best to sow the seeds individually. If the leaf beetroots emerge too densely, they should be thinned out. Any excess beetroot can be transplanted to other locations. You'll need 10 plants per square meter. If sowing directly into the ground, sow 1 to 2 grams of seeds per square meter. Fertilization. Beetroot loves nitrogen. Since it's a leafy vegetable, feel free to feed it some. It will be happy and reward you with a beautiful fan of leaves. Before sowing, it's worth adding compost or manure to the soil, preferably in autumn. If this isn't possible, spread a general-purpose organic fertilizer a week before sowing and then rake the soil to create a fine layer. Beetroot grows best in the second year after manure application. It's best to grow it after bulbs, cucurbits, and brassicas, especially if it was grown on manure. Avoid sowing beetroot after spinach or other root vegetables, due to nematodes. Any type of manure can be used for beetroot, but horse manure is best. Manure from animals fed beet leaves should be avoided, due to the potential transmission of fungi that cause beet leaf spot disease. Over-fertilized beetroot tends to accumulate harmful nitrates. Fertilizing with manure is not necessary, but it responds with increased yields. If you wish to apply mineral fertilizer before sowing, apply 20 to 30 decograms of calcium ammonium nitrate or ammonium nitrate per 10 square meter, along with 30 decograms each of triple superphosphate and potassium chloride. During growth, top dressing with 10 decograms of ammonium nitrate can be applied twice, no later than the beginning of August. Care. Watering. Beetroot tolerates drought well, but for a bountiful harvest, it should be watered regularly, especially during the initial growth period. Watering should be moderate. Beetroot is watered when the soil is dry. It tolerates dryness quite well. Always water beets at the roots, minimizing the amount of water on the leaves. Watering on the leaves promotes the development of beetroot rot. However, it is not as susceptible to disease as tomatoes or cucumbers. 2. Weeding. Regularly remove weeds to prevent them from competing with the beets for water and nutrients. If there is a prolonged lack of rainfall, the plants should be watered. Premature flowering in the first year can be caused by prolonged stress, such as cold or drought. If a flower spike appears prematurely, cut it just above the ground, and the plant will resume abundant growth. Keep the soil weed-free and water it in hot, dry weather. You can use a hoe to cut weeds as they appear, which makes the task much easier. Regular watering stimulates the growth of fresh leaves and is essential in dry weather to prevent seeding or flowering. Protection from low temperatures. Young plants are sensitive to frost. It's a good idea to cover them with white agritextile when temperatures approach 0 degrees Celsius. However, mature chard, grown this season, is more frost-resistant than its relative, beetroot. It can withstand frosts down to -4 degrees Celsius. Chard root requires temperatures of 8 degrees Celsius or above to germinate. Frost resistance varies depending on the age of the beets. If spring frosts are predicted, it's worth covering the leaf beets with, for example, fleece or perforated foil. You can also cover them with grass clippings. You can also use other mulches, such as straw. This protects and strengthens the soil. It also prevents weeds, which is an added benefit, and reduces watering requirements, saving you a lot of time. So, apply a layer 2 inches thick and simply let them grow, and they'll develop quickly. Harvesting. We've put some effort into the care, so it's time to harvest. The first leaves can be harvested about 2 months after germination, when the plant has produced about 8 leaves. The growing season is short, taking 8 to 10 weeks from sowing to the beginning of harvest. After about 3 weeks, it already has about 10 leaves. After harvesting, leave 4 to 5 growing leaves in the center. Steered spinach replaces spinach because it's resistant to long days and summer heat, and doesn't lose its nutritional value. Harvest systematically, removing, cutting off, or twisting off the plumpest and oldest outer leaves. Young leaves are the tastiest and best eaten raw. Harvest from June until autumn, even after light frosts. A long and promising season awaits you with this vegetable. And if you have overwintered beets from last season, you'll start harvesting even sooner. The leaves of leaf beets can be cut individually. They're cut 2 to 3 centimeters above the root. This way, you won't damage the bud from which the next leaves grow. And it's a regenerative plant, meaning it will continue to produce despite being cut, and the more often you harvest, the more it produces. Leaf beets often have such large leaves and thick petioles that 2 to 4 leaves are enough for dinner. Believe me, if you have several plants, and with such a wide selection of varieties and colors, you'll definitely be tempted to keep just one. You'll definitely have to process the excess and, for example, freeze them. I do the same with spinach. You harvest, chop, blanch, and throw them in the freezer. In winter, you'll have a delicious, warming leaf soup, just like you found it. Harvest your chard as soon as it reaches the right size. The secret is to harvest frequently, stripping off a few outer leaves from each plant at a time so new leaves can replace them. You can also plant chard around midsummer or about 8 weeks before the first frost. This is if you want to harvest in early fall. And then, as I mentioned in the video, as long as it's under cover, like a cloche, or you protect it with mulch. This protects the plant during the winter, so after removing the mulch, you'll be able to harvest fresh chard during the dry season, which is an added benefit. Once it sprouts, you can leave the plant to collect seeds for next season. Diseases and pests are similar to those of beetroot and sugar beet. Beetroot can be attacked by fungal diseases, which reduce yields. The most troublesome disease is beetroot rot. Beetroot rot attacks in warm and humid conditions. The leaves often have numerous rounded spots with borders. Although beetroot seems to be more resistant than its relatives. How to prevent diseases? Airy location. Beetroot prefers sun and airy locations. They need to dry quickly after rain and dew. Beetroot rot attacks beets more often when they are weedy and sandwiched between other vegetables. Avoid sowing beets densely. If they emerge too densely, they should be thinned out. Intercropping. Beetroots grow healthier when intercropped. They are less frequently attacked not only by beetroot rot, but also by beet rust and downy mildew. Do not water on the leaves. When the leaves are wet for a long time, fungal spores penetrate them more easily. It is best to water the beets at the roots. Strengthening plant manures. At least once a season, it is worth watering the beets with a plant manure that prevents the occurrence of fungal diseases. This can be, for example, garlic manure or onion and garlic manure. Removing diseased leaves. In the early stages of the disease, individual infected leaves can be removed. This is because beetroot rot spreads from them to healthy leaves. It is best not to compost diseased leaves. The fungus that causes beet tassel moth can survive very well in leaf debris. It is not damaged by frost. Any infected leaves should be removed from the vegetable garden to prevent the disease from spreading. The fungus will die off in the compost bin after at least 1.5 years. The fungus can also survive in the digestive tracts of animals, meaning manure can become infected. Don't cultivate immediately after manure application. For example, if cows were fed beets with diseased leaves, the fungus that causes tassel moth may be present in their manure. Therefore, as a preventative measure, do not cultivate beets immediately after manure application. You need to wait 2 to 3 years. Rotate every 3 years. Beetroot should not be grown in the same location more than once every 3 years. Beet debris, such as crushed leaves that are invisible to the naked eye, is a source of tassel beet infection. Other diseases include downy mildew, beet rust, and beet seedling blight. An effective way to reduce the incidence of beetroot diseases is to rotate them. Although I haven't experienced any diseases even after planting in the same location. The most common pests that attack beetroot are the beet leaf mold and the beet aphid. A dangerous parasite of beets, including leaf beets, is the beet cyst nematode. Controlling beet cyst nematodes. Crop rotation. This is a very effective and inexpensive way to prevent nematodes. Beet cyst nematode eggs die in the soil after a few years. Beets should not be grown in the same location more often than every 4 years. If there are a lot of beets with lumberjack beards, it is best not to grow them in the same location for even longer, 5 to 8 years. Do not sow beets after spinach and cabbage. Beet cyst nematodes also parasitize spinach and cabbage. Therefore, avoid sowing beets after these vegetables. Beet cyst nematodes also feed on spinach roots. Cabbage cyst nematodes also like cabbage, but less so than spinach. Straw manure. Fungi that decompose straw from manure in the soil impair nematode development and cause nematodes to die. Therefore, it is better, if possible, to fertilize the soil under beets with manure and straw. Nematicidal plants. Some plants disinfect the soil from nematodes. It's worth growing marigolds and onions next to beets. White mustard, but only the Maxi and Metex varieties, can be sown before beets. They cause beet cyst nematode larvae to hatch from cysts. They don't find the beets and die. These white mustard varieties kill 50 to 70% of beet cyst nematodes in the soil. It's very beneficial to sow beets both next to and after onions. Onions disinfect the soil from nematodes that parasitize beets. Compost without beets. Diseased beets should not be thrown into the compost but rather outside the garden. Beet cyst nematodes can get into the compost along with the roots and then back into the vegetable garden. The fungus that causes beet leaf spot disease can survive in the compost along with the beet leaves. Parasites of nematodes. Beet cyst nematodes are parasitized by another nematode, Steinernema felshi. These are available in organic preparations at garden centers. Varieties. Their leaves are usually fluted, very decorative. The leaf petioles are also beautiful, coming in a variety of colors: white, yellow, orange, red, intense green, and even silver varieties, which come in the previously mentioned colors but in pastel shades. What more could you want than a single vegetable in a multitude of color variations, which, to top it all off, grows like crazy? From blood red to golden, sun-kissed, and lush green, choose the one you like, but as a true gardener, I know you won't resist and will want to sow all the colors of the rainbow. Yellow petioles, yellow-green leaves. Silver beet lucullus has large, 70 by 30 centimeters fluted, yellow-green leaves. The thick, fleshy leaf petioles are white-green. This variety is valued for its delicate flavor and high yield. Beetroot rhubarb chard has decorative, large, corrugated leaves that turn burgundy. The fleshy leaf petioles are reddish-purple, with a cherry-like hue. Beetroot vulcan has dark red, thick leaf petioles and dark green leaves. It can be grown throughout the growing season, until October. The leaves can be harvested approximately 60 days after sowing. Beetroot bright lights is a very decorative field variety with stems and leaves. The petioles come in a variety of colors. Beetroot barley is characterized by oval, strongly corrugated leaves, the veins and petioles of which are a beautiful red. This variety is suitable for harvesting at the baby leaf stage. The growing season is short, approximately 45 days from sowing. Silber, which has dark green leaves with white veins, is considered one of the tastiest. Wide-tailed chard or cardon beet, it has very wide petioles that are eaten similarly to asparagus. Nutritional values and consumption. Why chard is so healthy? The nutritional value of chard lies in its relatively high content of easily digestible protein compared to other vegetables, up to 25% of dry weight, and its high iron, calcium, and vitamin C content. Chard is low in calories, and thanks to the betaine it contains, it supports body detoxification and liver function. It is a source of vitamins A, B1, B2, B9, B12, C, E, and K, as well as calcium, magnesium, iron, and potassium. Chard also contains rutin and quercetin, which contribute to strengthening and increasing the elasticity of blood vessels. You can make many things with Swiss chard, such as salads, soups, casseroles, and smoothies. Young leaves can be eaten raw as a salad addition, while older ones should be cooked. The fleshy stems can be cooked like asparagus, cooking time, 10 to 15 minutes, and the leaf blades like spinach. Raw young leaves are perfect for adding to vegetable salads. And that's how to grow Swiss chard. As a farming enthusiast, you now know you need to grow it and then harvest only the leaves month after month. It's also good feed for your chickens, if you have them. Now that you know all about it, hit the subscribe and like buttons, and your Swiss chard will surely develop better and grow faster. I'd be delighted if you left a comment. See you next time.